Good Friday evening, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us here on FSU Weather here on this October 2nd. I'm Casey Cloud.
I'm meteorologist Ulises Garcia. We definitely have a lot to talk about this weekend, especially with a lot of rain throughout the majority of the country.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in South Carolina, especially a potentially serious situation going on in that area. They're seeing quite a bit of rain and expecting to see quite a bit of rain. Weather Prediction Center even does show that rainfall is going on across much of the southeast region. Again, just Charleston area, maybe up towards 13 inches of rain going out toward Columbia.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a soggy weekend for South Carolina, North Carolina, but the whole eastern seaboard in general is going to be affected, especially with coastal flooding, heavy waves, from Florida all the way up to Maine. It's just going to be very intense, even though Joaquin is not going to be making landfall anywhere near us.
Yeah, exactly. We're watching that situation closely. See that stationary front is going to affect that area rather significantly, as well as a low pressure area, and cause them some potential issues in that area. So it's something to continue to keep a close eye on in that area.
Yeah, definitely it's going to be a 1-2 punch with all these low pressures nearby, but definitely take a lot of caution this weekend, especially on I-95, US 1. Those are going to be one of the worst highways to drive on this weekend, so give yourself extra time driving. And remember, turn around, don't drown. But we're going to take it over to an overview with Jordan.
Very clear right now in the Big Bend region, but a lot of the rain has been sticking around near the coast where that stationary front is. Current temperature 74 in Tallahassee, 72 in Monticello. Tonight's forecast looks wonderful. 63. We haven't seen temperatures like that in forever. I'm certainly looking forward to that. Mostly cloudy, I should say, 30% chance of rain. But as we take a look at the weather headlines, it's going to be cool with some isolated showers, nice weather ahead, and we are going to keep tracking Joaquin because it has actually weakened to a Category 3. But for now, we are going to pass it back to the desk with Ulises and Casey.
All right, thank you, Jordan. It's been we're definitely not going to talk about more about Joaquin and just its effects more on the eastern seaboard.
Yeah, it's going to have a bit of an effect, especially in some of those coastal areas. It does not look like it's going to actually make landfall now anywhere in the U.S., but still maybe beach erosion and high surf, there'll be factors all the way from maybe Charleston up to eastern seaboard up through New York.
Yeah, definitely. But also even just sports in general this weekend. I mean, it's the last weekend of baseball. You know, the playoffs are about to start, and a lot of teams are playing double headers, but also college football. And that even affects our FSU Noles going to Wake Forest tomorrow.
Yeah, you're going to have more on that a little bit later in a local forecast, and we'll be talking about that forecast up at Winston-Salem as well. During that, temperatures will be relatively cool there, but a lot of rain really is the big story. There could be rainfall maybe up toward of an inch during the game, so really nasty conditions. Not expecting really any delays, though, as there really shouldn't be any lightning around. But right now, I'll go ahead and get it closer to home here with Saint.
Thanks, guys. Whatever the weather, here's hoping for a seminal victory tomorrow afternoon. This afternoon on campus, though, it was pretty gloomy out there. Lower level moisture produced stratus clouds that stuck around with us all afternoon. But it wasn't just gloom. We also had cooler temperatures, for which I am thankful. We'll get to those in just a few moments. But right now, let's talk about rain, which comes, of course, with all those stratus clouds. It's been hanging out mainly to our east today, in the town of Perry and Taylor County, moving into Madison and Jefferson counties, moving through Monticello as well. Let's take a closer look right now. We can see that this was actually a pretty impressive storm earlier this afternoon, producing very locally heavy rainfall and also a few claps of thunder out there as well. Now, instead of showing you current conditions, we're going to show you the highs from today. We only climbed to 77 degrees here in Tallahassee today. Only 71 up in Mariana and 72 in Bainbridge. Why, you ask? The answer is that stratus cloud deck that kept the sunlight out of our faces and kept us from warming up that much today. As for all the moisture that produced that cloud deck, that's coming out of the north, and it's being channeled in here by these northerly winds, coming in quite strong actually, up to 13 miles per hour sustained here in Tallahassee. And that's rotating around a low pressure system that's way out to the east over the ocean, and that's channeling the moisture in from the north. Let's talk about that low right now because it is the game maker in the weather that we're going to see over the weekend. That low is associated with a stationary front that's draped across the Atlantic coast of Florida right now. And being a stationary front, it's not going to do a whole lot of moving over the weekend. It's going to stick around in our region, and the winds are going to remain out of the north, and they're going to keep funneling in a little bit more moisture. We're talking maybe a 60% chance of rain tomorrow at the most, clearing out for a much nicer Sunday, which will be appropriately sunny, followed by clearing next week. That stationary front will hang around on the Atlantic coast throughout the weekend, and it will be that which will direct the motion of Hurricane Joaquin. More on that to come later in the show. 63 degrees is the low we're calling for tonight in Tallahassee. Only a 30% chance of rain, but you know Tallahassee, so you'd better keep those umbrellas handy. Breaking down tomorrow for you, we'll wake up to 63 degrees if in fact you get up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, climbing to 69 degrees by noon, and only 72 degrees in the afternoon. Another cool afternoon in Tallahassee. After that, the clouds will lift. Monday will wake up to sunny skies, only a 10% chance of rain, with highs in the low to mid 80s, lows in the low to mid 60s, and not a drop of rain next Tuesday through Friday. We're talking beautiful sunny conditions. If you have midterms next week like we do in meteorology, take your notes outside and study on land to screen because it's going to be perfect weather for it. Taking a wider view at the southeast now, here's Casey.
Thanks so much, Shane. We'll get right into what's going on across our southeast region. At this hour, we are seeing some rainfall that is occurring here, especially around the Charleston area as well as up toward Wilmington as well. The rain's really starting to pick up in intensity over the last little bit in some of these communities, so it's something to keep a close eye on. We're talking about, again, Charleston upwards to Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, Cape Hatteras as well, so it is something to keep a close eye on, as flooding could be a real risk, 12 inches maybe over the next few days, according to the Weather Prediction Center forecast that Ulises and I were talking about at the desk just a little while ago. Now, lightning strikes, we're not really seeing too much. A few, though, near the coast in South Carolina. We're watching a bit in toward that area, again, the Charleston area as well. Now, not as much lightning as we get down into Florida, though. So, again, that shouldn't be really too big of a concern in toward our region. But again, it is just something that you do want to keep in mind, as this still could be around, and there still is some thunderstorm activity with those showered in parts of South Carolina that could cause flooding concerns. Now, current conditions right now across our state, it's relatively cool here in the southeast, except before you get down further into the peninsula. Now, 74 in Tallahassee, 70 in Montgomery, 62 Tupelo, but temperatures are much warmer to the south. 82 in Orlando, 89 Miami, and 86 in Key West. Now, humidity values, well, these are high as well. We have, again, a lot of moisture around, making it feel very sticky across much of the southeast. 94% right now, Wilmington, 81% Savannah, 86 Atlanta, a little bit less as we get a little further to the south. But again, still it is an issue to watch. You can see that moisture as well on the water vapor imagery, especially being funneled into South Carolina area, that Charleston area, while we have a lot more dry air trying to make its way into our area. Now, really that dry air really shouldn't play too big of a role in our forecast, though, as we're still going to have some rainy weather around. You can see this funnel of moisture, though, coming in towards South Carolina, Georgia. 10, 12 inches of rain is possible, so it's something to keep a very close eye on before that moisture stream really starts to cut off and move toward the south later in the period. Now, rainfall, again, could be relatively high. Some areas around Savannah maybe could get upwards about 5 inches of rain, according to one of our models. Now, 63 tonight, Tallahassee. Now, temperatures as we get further downstate are a little warmer. And tomorrow, well, temperatures 73 degrees here in Tallahassee. But right now, we're going to go ahead and go back over to the desk here and check out what is going on here across the weather situation. Here more with Ulises.
All right, thanks, Casey. We're going to talk about weather today in weather history, and one of the facts for today was in 1898, a hurricane struck off Campbell Island in the coast of Georgia.
Yeah, pretty serious situation in that area. Again, Campbell Island, well, they were affected by this. Significant damage even being reported in that area.
Yes, and also in 1988, we also did get 7.87 inches in 3 hours in Nimes, France.
Yeah, significant rain there, and even some flooding potential going on in that area just a really serious situation in that area.
Definitely. But what's more interesting is that 1898 in Georgia, just the fact that Georgia has always been more protected of hurricanes making direct landfall, just for the simple fact that Florida and South Carolina have that bend. But now we're going to send it over to our national with Jordan and break down all these frontal systems.
We are seeing 51 degrees up in Boston, 52 in Washington, D.C. The hot spot being Phoenix at only 98 degrees. That's really great for this time of year. We have been seeing a lot more hotter temperatures as we've been going on. The radar has been looking kind of yucky for most of the northeast region. Lots of rain with that stationary front and that low pressure system sitting right over Washington, D.C., getting the Carolinas up to 13 inches of rain, as Casey and Ulysses were talking about earlier. And let me stand out of the way here, because we do have another lower pressure system out near the Dakotas and Colorado, bringing us a lot more rain to them, but not as severe as before, as the Carolinas, I should say. Looking at our watches, warnings, and advisory, it is a coloring book out there. We have this green by the Carolinas and Virginia, flood warnings with all of that rain that they have been receiving. This kind of red and pink out here, those are hurricane warnings and tropical storm warnings out for the Bahamas, as Hurricane Joaquin is literally killing them out there. I shouldn't say literally killing them, but out here near Albuquerque, we do have a red flag warning, dry conditions out there. Out near Arizona and Phoenix, Arizona, we could see some actual frost advisories as well up in Minneapolis. It has been getting a lot cooler out there, as those fall temperatures have been staying around for most of the region. We have been seeing this green over here where the water vapor shows how humid it is out there, and we could see drier conditions near the southeast, but the northeast is getting absolutely soaked out there. As we look farther into the southeast for our radar, we have been seeing a lot more rain up near the Carolinas. Haven't been affecting us much lately. Pretty much dry out near the west, but as we go into the northwest, we have been seeing that low pressure system just above Salt Lake City, bringing a couple showers out to them. But the real story is over here near Washington, D.C. and Boston, getting absolutely soaked. Lots of rain, flooding, very possible. Tonight's forecast throughout the entire nation, wonderful fall-like temperatures. Kansas City at 42, Minneapolis at 42, 63, beautiful night in Tallahassee tonight. But as we go into tomorrow, those fall temperatures are going to stick around. 82 Dallas, 85 San Antonio, 66 up in Kansas City, and the only hot spot is Phoenix at 95 degrees. But for now, we are going to pass it off to Ulysses with a look at our second local.
All right, thanks, Jordan. As we look at the locally for our meteogram here, it breaks down the temperatures hour by hour in the last 24 hours. Definitely the cloud cover has definitely kept temperatures at bay in those middle 70s. We did obviously increase in the afternoon hours with some 76 degrees, but temperatures overall are going to repeat themselves as we go into our Saturday thanks to all that cloud cover. However, right now, 74 degrees, overcast skies, and those winds coming out of the north-northwest at 10 miles per hour. Temperatures all throughout the Big Bend, 70s to even upper 60s at this hour. Areas into the 60s, however, are beginning to see a lot more cooler temperatures thanks to that rain, especially over the eastern sector of the Big Bend. Local radar shows very quiet west of Tallahassee. However, the rain is beginning to pack a punch over into Perry, Taylor County, Madison, into now Jefferson, and now beginning to enter to Tallahassee. So definitely a soggy commute here on your Friday evening. Just remember to have that umbrella handy for the first couple of hours of tonight. The weather, however, should begin to die down as we go deeper into the night. However, though, this is all being controlled by a low pressure just off into the coast of the Atlantic, and also a frontal system that extends from Florida all the way up into the mid-Atlantic as well. Definitely, we talked about the flooding threat over the Carolinas into Virginia. A state of emergency has already been declared from South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Maryland. However, over into Florida, definitely the showers over Tallahassee, and a lot more quieter down into Miami, and definitely very, very quiet out into Texas. However, for us in Tallahassee, the cloud cover will definitely be over us. Clouds galore for our Saturday, folks. And we're going to see a couple of showers here and there. It really won't be until Sunday when things begin to finally improve. However, if you do go to the beach tomorrow, definitely not the best of days. Northwest winds at 15 miles per hour, surf at 2 to 3 feet. the UV index at 6. And tonight's forecast, 63 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. The chances of showers and storms will be early on tonight, so just remember to have that umbrella and even those boots handy. Tomorrow, a repeat of today, nothing really new when it comes to that. Cloud cover all around, showers here and there, but really conditions begin to improve very nicely, especially for our Sunday. But definitely one thing to look at though, FSU will be going over to Wake Forest tomorrow afternoon at Winston-Salem. 60 degrees, a really cool rain for this time of the year thanks to that frontal system. The chances of flooding all around, and definitely it's going to be a slop fest when it comes to handling that football. However, next 7 days, conditions begin to improve by the time we go into our work week. It will be below average overall until we get to our Thursday, which is 83 degrees. That's the average temperature for this time of the year. But overall, very beautiful week. Those 90s are going to try to make a push, but doesn't look like it. But now we're going to send it over to the desk with Jordan and Matt.
All right, thank you, Ulises. It's nice to see the sunny skies coming here, but first we got to get through the football weekend. We're away up at Wake Forest.
Yeah, it does sound like fun. We do have an AMS is going out to Brass Tap tomorrow afternoon. I'm certainly going to that. How about you?
I'm definitely going out there. AMS is going to be having an event over at Brass Tap, and we're going to be celebrating, hopefully, the Noles to win the game, but definitely the weather conditions aren't going to be the best up at Wake Forest.
No, it doesn't look like it, but for Tallahassee, it looks pretty nice, actually. Only 30% chance of rain, but the week ahead does look absolutely wonderful out there. We're going into mid to low 80s, and today was actually a great day. A lot more fall-like temperatures out there.
That's a fantastic one to hear, but one thing, could be some flooding issues up at Wake Forest. Hopefully no game delays, hopefully no lightning strikes in the area, but we may be seeing a sloppy field of play.
Oh boy, that sounds absolutely terrible, but we can only hope for the best.
Yeah, hopefully Dalvin Cook can get through the slop on the field and get in for those touchdowns. But right now, we're going to send it on out to Shane to take a look around Florida.
Thanks, guys. Still hoping for a Seminole victory here. We'll find out tomorrow afternoon. It's 74 degrees in Tallahassee, a little cooler, 67 in Pensacola, and 73 out in Jacksonville. We were kept cool in North Florida by all those stratus clouds, but South Florida, they didn't have that, so they heated up as you would expect. 89 degrees in Miami, the hot spot as always. Now we're going to look at the radar for the Sunshine State, which in some places just isn't living up to its name today. We've seen some spotty showers in the Big Bend region, quite a lot of rainfall offshore moving onshore near Taylor County, but for the most part, it's high and dry on the peninsula right now. Dry conditions and high temperatures. There are bands of rain offshore associated with that cold front making their way northward. Now we're going to look at the satellite, and it's starting to fade out because the sun is setting, but you can clearly see this patch of white over North Florida. Those are all those clouds that kept us cool today. And the other feature of interest is, of course, Hurricane Joaquin over the Bahamas right now, spinning away there. And we'll be getting to that in just a few moments in the tropical segment. But for now, let's talk about water vapor. This is a great indicator of the moisture in the air, and where it's dry in the upper atmosphere, we see bright streaks of orange from Pensacola. Even above us here in Tallahassee, it was lower level moisture that gave us those clouds today. And then out ahead of the cold front, lots of vibrant shades of green, especially stretching up into the Carolinas and soaking them. And of course, the most vibrant spot of all is Joaquin out there with lots of tall clouds full of lots of moisture that's currently dumping on the Bahamas. Now this graphic tells us how much rain we got in particular locations over the last 2 days. Not too much here in Florida, we're happy to say. We saw a fair bit of rain here in Tallahassee, Jacksonville ringing in at 0.8 inches, and Orlando coming in at 0.02 inches, so really not that much to worry about. But as for what's coming up in the next few days, let's take a look at the Futurecast radar, and we see that cold front and its associated moisture stay largely out of our hair. We might see those winds funnel in a little more moisture from the north, but we're not expecting a washout over the weekend here in Tallahassee, so it'll be great conditions to get out and watch the Seminoles take on Wake Forest. And then tonight in Tallahassee, we're looking at 63 degrees for a low. Same thing in Jacksonville, a little warmer, mid-70s in South Florida. As for tomorrow, we're climbing to a similar high as today, 73 here in the capital, 79 out there in Jacksonville, 89 degrees Miami. Like we say, always the hot spot. And then for the rest of the weekend, we're going to see a low of 61 degrees Saturday night and a Sunday morning, 62 degrees in Jacksonville. A very impressive, very fall-like, finally ringing in the season with appropriate temperatures. And then on Sunday, we'll be climbing to a much warmer 79 degrees here in Tallahassee, breaking 80 degrees in Jacksonville, and Miami, as usual, 87 degrees with 85 in Key West. And now for our long-awaited tropics segment, here's Ulysses.
All right, thanks, Shane. As we look at the tropics right now, we're going to be talking about, obviously, Joaquin. Right now, 10th storm of the season, Category 4 as it was yesterday. Now it's actually weakened down to a Category 3 at 125 miles per hour. Very healthy storm overall. You can see on the satellite, very tall clouds overall, a lot of clusters of thunderstorms, and it's pretty much been meandering over the Bahamas the last day or two. There's actually still hurricane warnings in effect for the Bahamas, but now there's actually been new tropical storm watches up to Bermuda, as the track will now begin to go into that northeasterly tilt that we've been waiting for the last day or so. It's going to eventually head out northeasterly in between the United States and Bermuda, so those tropical storm watches are already in effect for them. We also do have a system further out to the east, 70% chance of development by the National Hurricane Center in the next 5 days. If that thing does develop, it will become Kate storm number 11, and also Joaquin will play a factor into that just in the steering mechanism of that storm. Climatology for this time of the year in October, the favorable activities is definitely where Joaquin is right now into the western Atlantic, also the Caribbean, and even the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Florida is the bullseye when it comes to October hurricanes, and definitely the flow heads it over the eastern seaboard. All those storms like Sandy, they all took the similar track, so just October is always a good time to look out and just to always continue to be prepared for hurricane season in general on the East Coast. Futurecast and radar, we definitely see most of the activity, especially towards the Atlantic seaboard. Very quiet, especially over Louisiana into Texas. However, the rain will be accumulating over the Palmetto State and Tar Heel State of South Carolina and North Carolina. Accumulations up to 12 to 15 inches. You can see Columbia, Greenville, Charleston, Myrtle Beach are just going to be pounded by the time we get to tomorrow morning. That moisture from Joaquin plus that low pressure and frontal system is just going to pound Savannah. I-95, Interstate 16 from Savannah to Atlanta is going to be a soggy one. And by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, definitely as you go towards Macon, that showers and storms will continue to push further down now into Macon and Savannah by Sunday. But the good news is all these showers and storms will eventually begin to push out into the Atlantic by the time we get into our Sunday and Monday. And cooler temperatures overall as now fall begins to usher in for majority of the southeast. The only remnants, though, showers will continue to linger over into South Florida. Tonight's temperatures will be into the upper 50s, 59 in Albany, 62 in Montgomery. Definitely a lot warmer to Tampa with those 70 degrees. A lot of cloud cover all throughout the tri-state area. 60s to 70s all throughout. Just remember to have that umbrella handy for our Saturday, but repeat conditions from our Friday continue. The only exception is as you go further south towards Orlando and eventually Miami, conditions improve, but also the heat is on. And now we're going to send it over to the desk with Jordan and Matt again.
Thanks so much, Ulysses. Tonight, this morning, I should say, there was a beautiful rocket launch by the United Launch Alliance. They launched a Canadian communication satellite this morning around 6:30. As you can see, we're showing us some pictures right now.
That's incredible stuff right there. That's always a beautiful sight to see when a rocket launch goes well at Cape Canaveral Air Force Base, and it left for some beautiful images this morning as well.
Absolutely. You could see from Tampa, actually, some great clouds this morning. I don't believe we have pictures of that, but some people kind of looked like a UFO from out there because the clouds were just looking absolutely weird, as you could say.
Yeah, there was some crazy stuff that we saw, but it's really incredible. An incredible sight. Always these early morning dawn launches really can make for some amazing images over there.
Absolutely. And we are going to look forward to a wonderful week the next week with great lows out there. But for now, we are going to send it off to Casey for a look at our local.
Thanks so much, guys. Currently, right now, on campus, we have 74 degrees. Overcast conditions all around, though. It's really been a murky kind of day around the region. Really socked in with a lot of cloud cover. And we even have a little bit of wind. That's from the pressure gradient caused by Hurricane Joaquin. 10 miles an hour is the wind speed at the hour. Now, local temperatures across the region is a little warmer. At the coastal area, 75 in St. Mark, 76 Carabel, 74 here in Tallahassee. But again, relatively warm here across our region. Relatively mild across our region with a little bit warmer conditions at the coast. Now, your relative humidity values, we do see they are pretty high, especially in some of our easternmost areas. 95% around Perry, 97% in Valdosta, but a little bit less as we get toward the middle of the region. 76% is the humidity around Tallahassee. But overall, what that means is that it just feels sticky to your skin. Now, Doppler radar across the region, we see a lot of shower activity going on, especially in our easternmost counties. We see Taylor County, they've seen quite a bit of heavy rain go around in toward Perry over the last few hours. Madison, parts of Madison County getting into some rain as well. Leon and Wakulla counties as well getting into some shower activity. Tallahassee or the FSU campus starting to get close to some approaching storms. Now your futurecast temperatures for tonight, though, we see temperatures will be going off. Some it'll be relatively nice. Low 60s across the area. We see 63 Tallahassee according to this one model. Temperatures a little bit cooler to the north as well. 61 predicted in Bainbridge, and warming up throughout the day, but not a lot because cloud cover and some isolated showers will remain around. So make sure you have that umbrella handy. Temperatures on this model showing quite a bit cooler even than what's showing in some of the forecasts. Only 65 Tallahassee, 67 St. Mark's. It may get a little bit warmer than that though, especially if we get some breaks in some cloud cover across our area. Now getting towards Sunday, temperatures will be going down once again, mid-60s for the low temperatures. Now for tonight though, we see 63 degrees in Tallahassee. Mostly cloudy skies will be around. There will be a chance of rain and some thunderstorms though, so that could be a factor in the weather situation. Again, make sure you have that umbrella handy if you're going out tonight. Relatively nice though besides that, as those temperatures are relatively on the nice side. Now your Saturday for planner forecast, we see 63 tomorrow. Early in the day warming up to 69 and then getting even warmer, 72 is forecasting as we get later into toward your Saturday. A cool day, but isolated showers around. So kind of nice, but those showers will be a bit of a factor. Now that 7-day forecast, we see the situation here 73 tomorrow, but starting to warm up and clear out as the weather situation becomes a lot clearer across the area, warmer temperatures and nicer conditions. But right now I'll go back to the desk with Jordan and Matt.
All right, thank you, Casey. One thing I saw on there that I wanted to notice, actually Jordan noticed it, was those 3 p.m. temperatures tomorrow.
It looked absolutely wonderful, great for when the AMS actually heads out to the brass tap to watch the football game.
Yeah, it's going to feel fantastic out there. And here's another look at that 7-day forecast. It's looking magnificent later in the week.
Absolutely. Tomorrow, 30% chance of rain, but a high of 73. That looks absolutely wonderful. And Sunday, a low of 61. We haven't seen those temperatures since that fall tease when that last cold front came through.
Yeah, I love these fall teases that we see. I think it's here to stay now. We've been seeing the 90s way too long up here this entire summer. It was hot, and now we're finally breaking that.
Absolutely. I'm tired of walking around sweating no matter what I wear. So.
Well, we might not have to do that for long, but one thing that we can start to drink now that it's fall is pumpkin spice latte. But we just wanted to mention it once today. We can also check out on Facebook and Twitter.
Absolutely. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather, and be sure to watch our beautiful faces anytime at livestream.com/FSU Weather.
We're also on Instagram as well. You may see a picture of pumpkin spice latte because we talk about it all the time.
Absolutely. I am student meteorologist Jordan Frazier.
I'm student meteorologist Matt Reagan. We got a 70.5-hour break. We'll see you on Monday.